never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll them dice. You better roll them dice. You never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or
okay.
right.
So I have a quick announcement, I guess.
Okay, go for it.
Well, it's been a crazy year, and just after everything, I've decided it will be better for me to spend more time with my friends and family, and so I'm sad to announce I'm withdrawing my candidacy for president of D&D. I will not be running in 2024. There's a lot of speculation out there. I just want to quash that.
We're very sorry to hear that, Matt, but I think that's for the best.
I remain, however, ever committed to making sure that D&D remains a crotchety but welcoming space for all.
That's right. Nothing will ever change. D&D will remain enshrined forever in amber, much like
the Castle Amber, which
the
is
Castle
what we're talking.
Amber.
No, wait. Much like
the Dark Lords, the Dark Powers, the creatures.
You better get those straight, Rob.
Oh, sorry.
We're talking Ravenloft.
We're talking Domains of Dread, folks. The double D.
And who are we? We're Dungeon Master of None.
I'm Dungeon Master Rob.
And I'm Dungeon Master Matt. And since it's October, since it's spooky season, we thought, well, what better than to get the spookiest and maybe last official D&D campaign setting that we
right?
haven't covered. No, wait, we still have Dragonlance. We still have Dragonlance.
Still haven't done Dragonlance. We haven't really done
a bit of a dive into.
We didn't thoroughly do Greyhawk, did we?
We haven't. No, we did Greyhawk. Andy and I did an hour.
Oh, that's right.
And
You and Andy did Greyhawk. That's right. Sorry, that was a non-Rob podcast.
No Robs in Greyhawk, but lots of them. Rob could be his own Dark Lord.
I could. Yeah. So Ravenloft, I believe, in the Domains of Dread. This is the last official, except for Dragonlance, which we should probably do, given that there are many hints that something is coming. But second to last, the penultimate campaign setting, which is the spookiest of them all.
Yeah. And no hints needed, because if you haven't noticed, in May 2021, May 18th, Wizards is releasing Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, which will be their Ravenloft 5e.
Yeah. Again, in May, for some reason. Unclear why, but that's fine. It seems like it's going to be a revamp, a redo of the existing Ravenloft materials. There have been a handful of Ravenloft books, of course, starting with... I mean, this was
by a handful, we mean dozens and dozens. Back in the 2E days, there's just a ton of books.
So why don't we talk about the origins of Ravenloft a bit? This is a Hickman original. This is an OG Weiss and Hickman original from the campaign that they were playing together, I believe, in the old first edition days. And
that's right.
The story that I read was that Tracy was disappointed in the way that campaign had been going, because he encountered a vampire in a lair with a bunch of oozes, and it felt very random, felt very wargamey, and there wasn't a lot of storytelling in those early D&D days, and so
like you encounter a vampire, you're like, oh, what's their tragic backstory? How will we defeat them? Sort of Van Helsing style.
Precisely.
And it was like, oh, it's just another monster to kill.
Exactly. This is just a random mob in this this dungeon that we are crawling. And from what I understand, Weiss and Hickman played this for a while, and then they were asked to write it up for TSR back in the day. And then it became...
And that was the Castle Ravenloft model.
Castle Ravenloft. And it began, of course, with Barovia and Ravenloft and Strad von Borovich.
Zarovich.
Zarovich, sorry. Strad von Zarovich. But then expanded to include many, many more realms of evil and darkness and horror.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome to Ravenloft, where all the women are strong, all the men are Slavic, and all the children are plagued with madness and
That's
or
right.
plagues.
Our
hometown.
Home of racial stereotypes and haunted dolls and not racial stereotypes, just regular stereotypes. If you love really cheesy, over the top, Count from Sesame Street style, Dracula stories, then folks, this is the campaign setting for you.
It is gothic horror to the max. Maximum goth, maximum horror.
So in case it's not clear, the idea behind Ravenloft, and it won't take more than 10 seconds of reading about it or looking at any of the art to realize exactly what it is that it is a gothic horror archetype setting. The recommended reading by the authors are things like, of course, Frankenstein, Dracula, The Island of Dr. Moreau, The Haunting of Hill House.
They put Infinite Jest in here by David
Nothing
Foster
more
Wallace. Not a
gothic
good
or horrible
not a good look.
than a good DFW tome. And yeah, your Poe, Edgar Allan, that sort of thing. And it's intended to capture the feeling and the ethos and the theme of those gothic horror stories.
And then how does that translate into world building, I think is kind of interesting, right? Because we came to this with already the lands of Barovia and I think 2 versions of the Ravenloft module that detail that. And how do you build out a world from there? And the way the authors, and we're looking at the box set edition from 1990, chose to do this is say, okay, Barovia is the first, but there are many domains of dread, little pocket realms that kind of all have their own rules, that are all ruled by a single dark lord in most cases. That is always a villainous and tragic figure.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all kind of more or less jumbled together in a geography where there's some travel is allowed, but of course these can all be walled off and separated from each other. And that all of these gothic realms are stuck together somewhere in the deep ethereal plane.
Right.
You may end up, and you can't get out. It's really hard to
right.
get out of all of them.
A key and important element of any Ravenloft campaign or playing in the Domains of Dread is that these are very much divided from the rest of the Forgotten Realms, the rest of the multiverse. They are technically located somewhere in the ethereal plane, but you can't leave them or enter them very easily. You may find yourself there by wandering into some mists or following the Vistani somewhere, but attempts to leave are often thwarted, and many an adventurer has found their end in the Domains of Dread, in the mists.
Yeah, it's almost like an anti-Spelljammer in that everything's here. There's domains that had their origin, were sucked into this deep ethereal of horror from Faerun, from Kryn, the Dragonlance world, from just who knows what material plane. One's technically from Earth, the creepy toy ones from Italy. Everyone ends up basically Eastern European on the way there. And so it's like it's a hodgepodge of D&D's cosmology, except instead of promoting travel between worlds, it really discourages it.
Right. So there are upsides and downsides to this, right? But it should be well understood that if you're going to play in a Domains of Dread or a Ravenloft campaign, your horizons will be narrowed. It takes, even the grandest of them all, Curse of Strahd, takes place in a pretty small barony the biggest town has 500 people in it. It's all sort of grim and depressing and, like Matt said, Eastern European. And this is, there's a reason for this, right? And I think this is very interesting, and I think it's worth dwelling on. I will mercilessly mock these domains of dread for various things, but I do want to give credit where it is due. And prior to this, even the best of the D&D campaign settings was still kind of they tended to be a mile wide and an inch deep. But Ravenloft, the Domains of Dread, they really, really lean into the theme. And so if you want to play a horror campaign, if you want to play a creepy, slow-moving, smaller scale sort of adventure, they're really, really good for that. And if you want to evoke those feelings from Dracula, from Frankenstein, it is well designed for that type of play. If you want to go on a plane spanning pulp adventure, this is not the campaign setting for you.
No, it's really not. It's you got to know what you want, and what you want has to be gothic horror. And I think one interesting thing, and we'll talk about whether you can kind of take or leave this, is the sort of unifying, undergirding world building that the authors have chosen. Is the idea is that the Domains of Dread, Ravenloft, is controlled by a mysterious group of entities, the Dark Powers, which are, who knows what they are. It is up to you as the dungeon master to create a backstory for them or never give them one. All that we know about the Dark Powers that control Ravenloft is that they are possibly evil. They are maybe the multiverse's sense of irony, right? In that they will entrap people, villains, or even whole kingdoms in the deep ethereal, and they have their limitless powers. And they basically devise punishments for villains. Strahd, as people, spoilers for Strahd coming up here, as you know, is a vampire who's evil and powerful, but he can't have the one thing he wants, his lost love. And so the Dark Lords torment him by reincarnating her every few generations. And of course, she always slips through his grasp. And throughout the other areas of Ravenloft, the other domains, each Dark Lord has sort of another fitting, ironic punishment for whatever their evil desires are.
And, confusingly, the Dark Powers are different from the Dark Lords, which each rule
God damn it.
one of the domains. And, like Matt said...
So you got Dark Powers, they're in charge. You can't see them. The Dark Lords are then also in charge, but only of their own realm, and they're in fact prisoners these mysterious Dark Powers who have tempted them but cursed them.
A key part of this is, as powerful as they are, the Dark Lords are also trapped in Ravenloft, in the Domains of Dread. They are powerful there, but each of them has sort of committed some grave sin, which varies from, killing children or feeding humans to other people.
Wanting to get away from your wife and nagging child. Because one poor ghost will.
Yeah. But they're all varying degrees of evil and or tragic. Yeah, as powerful as they are, they're all trapped there, with one exception, Vecna, who became powerful enough to escape the Domains of Dread and become a god somewhere else. Something like that.
You can't keep a good Vecna down. He's never going to get trapped.
You can't.
We love that guy.
But, this is, it's interesting because the Domains of Dread, Ravenloft, is some kind of grim purgatory, maybe some punishment, and frankly, kind of sucks when the heroes or your players end up, trapped there. It's not always a punishment. Sometimes heroes are needed in the domains of dread, but it can be hard to leave. And, usually a key part of these campaigns is that you have to basically defeat the Dark Lord or accomplish some task to exit the mists.
If I was thinking of a stereotypical Ravenloft campaign, that's not even, just Curse of Strahd. It could be any of the domains. Is the players are brought here, probably if you go back deep enough, by the machinations of the Dark Powers to basically torment one of the Dark Lords, and the players either doing exactly what the Dark Lord, or sorry, not the Dark Lords, brought by the Dark Powers. God damn it. These mysterious, all-powerful entities that we don't even know what they are, to torment the ruler of one of the domains, even kill them, knowing that they'll probably return eventually to start the cycle all over again. But it's the only way the players can get out.
Exactly. And one of the great things about this, and I should be clear from what we're talking about, is that there are tons of terrific villains. Really, like if you're looking for a well-developed bad guy with a backstory and maybe just a little bit of pathos, this is the place to find them. A lot of really good and interesting and compelling bad guys, but what they are not, right, they're not galaxy conquerors. There are no Thanoses here. There's not, in fact, they're not really even, for the most part, interested in anything outside of their realm. Most of them
with one exception.
Most of them are trapped in some sort of trying to accomplish a task that is essentially unavailable to them, or myopically focused on one thing or another. Again, Strahd is the perfect example. In the book, it details very, very, or in the adventure, it details very clearly like what his motivations are. He wants to be challenged. He wants to find his lost love. He's interested in heroes as they come, potentially as successors to him or as challengers. But he's not interested in escape. He's not interested in conquest. He's not interested in really anything outside of replaying this, cycle of misery that he's trapped in, which he subjects his entire realm to as well. And most of the Dark Lords are like this in one way or another.
Yeah, everyone could be happy if people just tried a new hobby.
That's right.
It's not allowed.
All of the Dark Lords, they really just need to take up a sport, a cycling club, maybe knitting, get into, woodworking, but they can't. It's not allowed. The Dark Powers will not permit it.
Okay, speaking of really interesting villains, I think that's what the people want to hear. Let's talk about some.
Ooh, I do want to dwell on one thing. Sorry to.
No,
I also want to get to the villains.
It's a good segue, but we'll just throw it away.
Very, very excited about the villains, but there are sections in both of these books. Sorry, in the main book that we read, the Realm of Terror box set, and then the Domains of Dread. They both talk about what makes these campaigns work. And I like this both for an example of, what's good and what's bad, what works and what doesn't. And they mention the sort of the themes of Gothic horror. And I think we should talk a little bit about the themes of Gothic horror before we move on. So key parts of this, right? And you should be getting a sense for this as we've been talking. Isolation, alienation, right? Your players, there's no help coming for your players, right? And even where they are able to find rest and succor, the people don't trust them. They are outsiders perpetually. They are invaders. Some people will like them, but for the most part, everybody will find them, at least, hold them at arm's length. Of course, they are trapped in the domains of dread. And then there's an element of, power and helplessness. Most of the Dark Lords are very, very powerful, and they should be, especially at the start of the campaign, more powerful than the players. They may, with the right tools, come to challenge the Dark Lord, but initially it is clear that they need to be made to feel powerless. And then, of course, there's ignorance and, obscured knowledge. These are campaigns where your players are going to feel unprepared and off foot, or on their hind foot all the time, under threat if you're running it correctly, which can be good and can be kind of bad. I found, to be honest, Strahd kind of grim. Ultimately, I really enjoyed running it, but it was a very grim and dour campaign. Everybody was in some manner of decay or misery. There was no goodness in Barovia. It's heavy, folks. It's heavy.
I think the best advice in this sort of techniques of terror that is given is this idea of you want fear, and the things Rob just described can help you achieve that. You want to avoid frustration, though. You want to avoid, just like instead of it being like, well, okay, no one trusts you. Okay, so you can't talk to anyone. No, it's writing that line of introducing it a little bit without ever making the simple task of role playing impossible.
It also, and the realm of terror mentions sensuality and seduction, which true, part of Gothic horror. Challenging to do well in Dungeons and Dragons. One of the things that Strahd may do if you're running the campaign as written is try to seduce or take as a bride a character that looks or reminds him of has lost love. But, easy to go wrong there. Hard to make it work the way, hard to make it feel like a sexy vampire Dracula situation and not a creepy weirdo situation. But you can approximate, right, the feel of a Gothic horror novel, though your players may
just make your vampire big. Just make them
very tall.
9 feet tall,
10 feet tall, high
your
heels.
Players will be happy.
Funny story. So in you also you're encouraged to sort of slowly build suspense, right? We talked about this in our.
Oh, that is a funny story.
Hold on, I'm working up to something, man. Bear with me here.
Okay, all right.
Build suspense, right? We talked about this in our Call of Cthulhu episodes, but as written in Strahd, he's supposed to stalk the players and eventually sort of join them at the fire, pretending to be a stranger. So I played this as written in my Strahd campaign, and had a weary old man approach them at the fire, and then immediately one of my players was like, "I detect evil," and threw back the curtain and ruined my big surprise. And then Strahd cackled and did his villain speech and ran away, but completely ruined the suspense. So be aware that you may struggle to maintain the ambiance that the writers were going for.
But that's a great example, Rob, which you did the right thing there, right? Which is, right, as much as you want to build fear slowly, right? You never want to say to your players, well, just nothing you do works, right? And when they have an ability, the only ability in the game that calls out a named NPC, which detect evil in the text of the player's handbook, says an evil entity such as the vampire. Baron Strahd. It says it there. If you had to be well, you don't detect him. It says it right there. This is the one thing it says it should work. Right? But no, I mean, the idea, right, for all of these things, right, is you should do them many, many times, right? So that players, it builds, right? Because it's not just one scene, right? It's you're trying to do it for a whole adventure or a whole campaign.
Yeah. So
there's also some other really basic techniques, right? The one that every dungeon master needs to be reminded of is just pass notes, write them out beforehand, or even pause for 30 seconds. Everyone can patiently wait. They want to check their email anyway, and pass someone a note. It works.
Matt, do we want to talk about? Nope, we don't. Nope.
Maybe we do.
Well,
what is it?
In the old books, traveling to the domains of dread involved some manner of character transformation. Some things would work and some things would not. And frankly, I think this sucked. Because
this is kind of a relic of the 2E things, right? We've now that we've done Spelljammer and Dark Sun and Planescape, looking at all this old material, for every one of these, they're like, well, what's different about a priest in this or a wizard? What can you not do? If you're a ranger in Ravenloft, well, your animal companion doesn't obey you anymore. There's all these like little things that are just like, they make the character's life shitty, and you should completely ignore them. And I think, sincerely hope 5e
They
does
feel
as well.
very arbitrary and weirdly punishing and often random. And there's rules for curses. There's stuff about powers. We'll see if any of this makes it into
Fear checks.
Yeah,
I don't.
Oh, yeah. This is also, there's a big bit on fear checks and madness. We already talked about this with Call of Cthulhu. Don't love it. Hard to do well. We'll see what makes it into, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, but hopefully none of that.
I think the final word on it, and I'm declaring this the final word, is that it's just always preferable to make your characters, to make the gameplay itself scary, just like you make it exciting or adventurous or heroic, rather than rolling a dice and saying, well, you're afraid now.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't have a fear spell or a turn undead that causes people to flee or something, but the basic idea of the fear mechanic as it's presented in this, no bueno.
Yep. Not a fan.
Not bad.
Okay.
So there's some basic advice,
Yep.
But the meat of this book are the domains themselves, and with every domain comes not only in your pack of bubble gum, but an actual Dark Lord, right? You got a little bonus thing in there. A Dark Lord collectible baseball card. Every domain. And yeah, these are the really good stuff here. This is the best of this. Like lots of 2A books, there's just so much space taken up by these arbitrary 2E rules for your character. Sorry you rolled a ranger. It's not going to be very fun.
Yeah.
But
No,
the villains, they're great.
The villains are great. So there are too many to go into in any great detail, but there's some
And this is just in the base book. Like, there are more. We couldn't even read all of them. We stuck with one book.
Yeah. And you know what? Respect to the authors for really, and again, I would rather have a bunch of well-developed villains and realms than the alternative. This is great. You could easily borrow any of these and just plop it in somewhere else and say this is an isolated barony somewhere and have a little adventure where you take down a Dark Lord. But there are some really, really tremendous bad guys. So
okay, who do you want to start with?
Matt, why don't you lead us off? Who's your favorite?
Okay, I don't know. I haven't picked a favorite yet, but
Sorry,
one that I
favorite.
found.
Who do you
let's
like?
just start with ones we like. I like Haslick. Haslick is a mage from Thay. If you're coming like mini campaigns might from the Forgotten Realms, you know that the Red Wizards of Thay are everyone's just super evil, all the way down organization, and seeing a Red Wizard in Ravenloft just is perfect. He's not my favorite, but he's very conniving and scheming. He is weak yet powerful. He fears basically sleeping because he is haunted by maddening dreams. He is afraid of his own cowardness and weakness, and I think that's great for a villain that is could easily kill any player character of 7th level or lower. So I love having like incredibly cowardly villains because, most bad people are deep in their hearts cowards. It strikes true. Hazlek of Hazlan, his incredibly shitty domain.
This one's actually he's not actually that interesting, but I'm still a fan. I really like Vlad Drakov because he is a thinly veiled, extremely thinly veiled Vlad the Impaler.
Yes.
Because he literally impales people. And Vlad's real life Vlad was Vlad Dracul. Anyway, Draculia. Anyway, still love it.
Vlad the Impaler, was he like Russian or Romanian
He was Transylvanian, Matt.
Transylvanian.
Okay. He was
Romania did not exist.
Lord of Wallachia.
Okay, sure.
A hero, slayer of the Turk, who he impaled in a forest of, spears. Anyway, so Vlad Drakov is a mercenary king and a brutal ruler of Falkovnia is his, forested realm.
And he's one of the imports, our 2 imports from Dragonlance. He's from Kryn. Right. He was once a mercenary, and he is incredibly bored. He has to impale someone every night, particularly while he's eating dinner. And like I think his curse is one of the more interesting curses because he wants to be a conqueror. But the rules of the domains of dread, which make travel between the domains very risky, hard, and can be shut off at any time, means that he is just really bad at conquering. He can't do it.
And the mists will part a little bit so that he can have sort of like a tantalizing, thought of conquest, but he is never able to conquer, and so
then he'll get owned by my favorite villain.
Ooh, well,
Vlad is really good. I think the first 2 we talked about are perfect for plopping in a non-Ravenloft campaign, in that they're not so far out there and their realms are not so crazy and weird.
Right, they're just regular shitty, small baronies or duchies. Vlad Drakov, he's not, again, particularly interesting, but he's just like a classic horrible villain based on an excellent real life villain. And I love his punishment in that he yearns to conquer but cannot. He's a great villain if your players just want to really like smash in some doors and fuck something up. If they really want a combat heavy campaign, he's the guy for you.
Now, I don't know anything about the real historical Vlad the Impaler.
I do.
Was he actually like? Were these stories made up by his enemies, or did he really?
He really did impale people. So he ruled Wallachia in the 16th century, and he absolutely, when the Turks invaded, he captured them and he impaled them on stakes, and he was very, very proud of that. It was his own name. He wanted to be the Impaler, and he was from time to time the Hungarians liked him, and from time to time they didn't, and I forget what happens. I'm pretty sure he gets murdered by the Turks at some point. But yeah, no, he was the real deal, the real impaling deal.
Excellent. Well, he constantly, our fantasy version of Vlad, constantly gets owned by, I think, the best Dark Lord, which is Azalan, the Lich. So he's not Vecna, but I think he's almost as good. Here's the deal with Azalan. He's the most powerful, basically, I would say probably the most powerful Dark Lord. Though it doesn't really matter because they all have almost infinite powers in their domains with regards to certain things. He's a, maximum level spellcaster.
As a Lich, strong chance that he is the most powerful for sure.
Strong chance. There's a lot of backstory given to him about his yearning for knowledge and power. He even served under Strahd, teaching Strahd many of his blood magics back in the day, and is one of the only Dark Lords who really sort of knows what's going on, and I think that makes him a lot more interesting. Like, he's investigated the mists. He really, some of the Dark Lords don't even really understand or even have an idea that they're being controlled and manipulated and tormented by these dark powers who have tempted them and trapped them here. But Aslan, oh yeah, he knows. And of course, this makes it even worse because his torment is that he can't learn anything. Once he tried, he's like, oh, I can actually, this is a mutable plane where I can create my own domain. I'm going to break free of working for Strahd and create my own domain. And he did. And it's he has a ton of power. But now he can't gain any more experience. He can't learn a single new spell. And try as he might, he is stuck where he's at. And for someone who is immortal and only desires more power and knowledge, this is the greatest curse.
I mean, all of their curses are so very delicious. All of them, have are tormented with their, something that preys upon the thing that makes them unique, but also evil, but also doesn't stop them from continuing to be terrible to everybody around them. And
oh yes, his peasants are absolutely tormented. But one of I think the interesting thing, this is either a bug or a feature depending on your perspective, but Aslan's a schemer, but his schemes are limited because of his, knowledge curse. It's sort of left up to you as the dungeon master to what his plans that he will probably fail at are. So you could come up with some really interesting things. What could a all-powerful wizard that can't grow anymore try and do?
One of my favorites, and this is because I am a huge fan of the book that it's based off of, is, of course, Lamordia, who has as its Dark Lord Adam, who is a sentient flesh golem created by Victor Mordenheim. Now, folks, surely you have noticed that the authors have not really even tried to hide their inspirations, which, you know what? That's fine. That's okay. I'm happy to play in their walled garden. It's fun. But, if I were going to write a gothic horror campaign, I would maybe blur
Mix it up a little bit.
Like, of course I would still have a Frankenstein's monster, but I might
Frankenstein.
might get a little creative with it. But that being said, I love, Adam is, again, he's a Frankenstein. He's a Frankenstein's monster. He's a flesh golem. Victor Mordenheim is a, mad scientist.
I did appreciate that the description and stats for Adam, for Mordenheim's monster, right, is like more true to Mary Shelley's books. Like, he's fast and nimble. He's not sort of a stiff zombie.
Yes. This I liked because I'm a fan of the books. He's a Mary Shelley Frankenstein, not a Boris Karloff Frankenstein. He's clever, he's quick, he's sneaky, but also very powerful. And the Frankenstein's monster of the book is a tremendous villain. Or is he a villain at all, Matt?
Yeah. Now, so
the real monster is Dr. Frankenstein. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Right. The interesting thing about the way this domain is set up is the people have abandoned religion. They have abandoned magic, focusing on science. It's definitely, if you want to put some weird science in your D&D,
yes,
there's some interesting stuff here. And the thing is, the Dark Lord, right? It's not Dr. Mordenheim. It's Adam. It's the monster.
Right.
Is the real person in control, and that has the special domain powers here.
Right. And again, if you're a fan of the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, right, the power relationship between Adam and Victor Mordenheim and the rest of the people of Lamortia is more akin to that again than the groaning Boris Karloff Frankenstein. This is a very, very interesting domain to me.
I think so. I mean, basically, yeah, it is just Frankenstein, right? So it's like, well, you could have just said, just put Frankenstein. Like, this could be one line. Just put Frankenstein by Mary Shelley into your D&D campaign. But they did add a little bit of stuff that is new, and I think that's interesting, which is Mordenheim is now obsessed with, I believe, raising my notes are not clear. Raising someone else, his wife, maybe his daughter. Everyone's got a tragic wife in this.
Right,
a lot
of
of wife
course.
guys in the Dark Lords.
Oh, Mordenheim is trying to maintain. His wife Elise was injured and is alive, but Mordenheim is trying to keep her alive, rather, or
Right.
restore her to life.
And he's also trying to figure out how to non-magically resurrect people, right? So I think, I wish there's more here, but if you wanted to enter a kingdom or a realm where everyone is using science to keep themselves alive or raise people from the dead or clone people, there's some cloning stuff in, I believe, one of the adventures that is set here. That's a lot of fun, right? When the players show up and oh, wait, there's clones of us. There's clones of lots of people. What's going on here? Deep weirdness, deep horror of discovering lots of clones. Clone your players and
Clone your
have them
players.
meet their clones.
Yeah.
The world is a vampire sent to drain secret destroyers. Hold you up to the flames. And what do I get for my pain? Betrayed desires and a piece of the game. Even though I know, I suppose I'll show all my crew and go like the Joe. Despite all my rage, I am still just a renegade. Despite all my rage, I am still just a renegade. Someone will see.
Vlad Tepes was his, but then I think he took the name Dracul later. Sorry, I just came to me. Sorry, everyone.
Vlad Tepes.
Vlad Tepes was his
All of
family.
his names sound cool. Dracul,
Right?
Tepes.
Cool names. Cool names.
Yeah, all Vlad.
The real Vlad the Impaler was a fascinating dude. Anyway, who else you got, Matt? There's a lot. I was just skimming back through this. I'm like, there's so many good folks here. Sorry, who else? you
Yeah,
got?
there's some that are just kind of wacky. I remember one that I was like, I don't know if I'll ever use this, but this would make a great side character. There's like an evil there's an evil bard who is also a werewolf.
Oh yeah, I love this guy. What's his name?
And this name Harkin Lucas.
That's right. This guy is great.
Harkin
He's one of my favorites as well. It's weird because he just roams around being a bard, but he's also a wolf wearer, and he's secretly the Dark Lord of Kartakas. Yeah, I love this guy.
And so-
He's so weird.
He's so weird, and it's like, I don't know if you could build a camp. I really doubt you could certainly build a whole campaign about this, but as a side character to plop into your regular campaign, I think it's interesting to have an evil bard wolfware. And this is one of the tropes that you'll find in, I don't know, I would want to say 20% of the domains is you'll find ones where the Dark Lord is not like a tyrant over a kingdom, but someone who is just kind of in the background, in the shadows, or maybe in the forefront. The merchant that travels everywhere, that shows up all the time, but not the actual ruler. And I think those are kind of interesting. I don't know what you do with that. But
interesting thing about Harkon Lucas is that he's or they are transgender. They can take either a. Sorry, I just found this. And
yes,
his pronouns are he. I don't think they intended this, but it says explicitly that they can take either human male or human female form. Yeah, no, this is a weird one. Harkon's sort of curse is that he wants to rule and he's got machinations, but the realm that he's in is small and shitty. There's nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing there for him.
He
had grand dreams
Yeah.
over Coromir or somewhere
Yes.
on the Sea of Stars, and
Yeah, he wanted to rule a great nation, and now he's stuck in a shitty, peasant realm, and that's all he can get. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he would make a good villain, but not as sort of like the centerpiece of a campaign. It would be weird to set a whole campaign in Cartacas, but the character is really, really interesting.
I guess I will take it back. Yeah, you definitely can't set a campaign in Cartacas, but you could absolutely do an arc of a campaign over this werewolf bard.
Yeah, weird werewolf bard. Yeah.
Oh man, Trey, look up at the sky. It's a full moon on the Sabbath.
This is scary.
Break it down.
I was working late on my Haftorah when I heard a knock on my bedroom door. I opened it up, and to my surprise, there was a werewolf standing there with glowing gold eyes. He said, "Tomorrow, my son, you will be a man. But tonight's the time to join the Wolfen clan. Tomorrow you will stand at the beamer and pray. But tonight, let's gaze at the moon and bathe. Werewolf for Mitzvah, spooky, scary. Boys becoming men, men becoming wolves. Werewolf for Mitzvah, spooky, scary. Boys becoming men, men becoming wolves."
All right, that was great.
I've got one more of favorites. Do you
Okay.
have any others?
There are a couple others.
Of the Who's Doomed in Ravenloft?
There are a couple that I like. Yeah. Who else have you got? I mean, everybody's
Okay,
got
there's
something.
one that doesn't have a name. I believe it was only mentioned when they talked about the realm, which the name is escaping me, so I'm not doing a good job here. But there's a realm that is a domain that is full of illithids, full of mind flayers.
Ah, yes.
And the Dark Lord
like this one.
is
Mhm.
not really mentioned, only alluded to that it is an elder brain that has, like complete telepathic power, but is absolutely stuck here. Illithids want to conquer and spread through the worlds, and it is stuck where there's no new people and thoughts to absorb. So there's not a lot listed here. And there's a couple of these in at least the base book. Maybe in other supplements they're detailed out where, instead of another werewolf or witch or, vampire, the Dark Lord is one of your traditional D&D monsters, but gothic. And so, I think about gothic illithid a lot, and I wish I could meet it.
Yeah, this place, Blutspur. It's interesting. There's a 20th level high illithid, elder brain, something like that. But of course, it can't go anywhere or do what illithids want to do, which is, dominate everybody. But it's created vampire illithids. It sounds like a great place for just a horrible long dungeon. Again, not sure you could set a campaign here. There's not really much to go on. And it's full of really high-level, horrifying monsters. But it's interesting. I mean, there's just like so many, I like that they just sort of grabbed classic stuff and vaguely like I like that. Like there's one
Yeah,
guy,
I mean, there's a pharaoh, there's a Flying Dutchman,
Yeah.
pirate. There's
the Flying
tragic
Dutchman pirate.
witch.
There's one of the ones I like.
the Black Widow,
the poisoner, the Black Widow lady. There's one a place called Vebrick, which is ruled by Alfred Timothy, which is just like a big like most dangerous game. Everybody who comes there becomes a hunt for Timothy and his his wolves and werewolves. Again, some of these are like really interesting, but not like particularly well fleshed out as a place to adventure in. But I could definitely see like a good like few sessions in each of these, and some of them are kind of horrible in their own way.
Do you have any other favorite villains or Dark Lords or locations? Because I have two big things that I think we still have to talk about with Ravenloft. But I don't want to skip over any favorite tragic villains that we all secretly
I hit
want to.
all the big ones. There's some other cool folks, but those are the ones that I liked the most, I think.
Yeah, there's lots of cool villains. I mean, you will buy this book on the DM's Guild, and you will really only pay for the like 60 pages that are details of villains. That is what is good here.
Yeah, Matt mentioned
The Were-Rats. There's fun stuff.
The Sea of Sorrows with Captain Peter Van Rees, the Flying Dutchman. It's great. But it's exactly.
He's looking for Reese's Pieces of 8.
There's a place called Markov, which
Polov.
not actually a stochastic probability model, just a place with a guy named Frantisek Markov, but also pretty
Many
cool.
chains bind.
So many chains. Anyway. But yeah, let's talk about what you want to talk about. We could go
all
on
right.
this
Well,
all day.
do you want the depressing thing or the fun thing?
Let's do the depressing thing first
All
and
right,
end
let's
with
get
the
it
fun
out of the way.
thing.
All right. So there's a whole section in Ravenloft on something we've talked about a lot, the Vistani. And then there's whole supplements on the Vistani. And, the Vistani, as they're presented here, are, even worse racist stereotypes of Romani peoples than in Castle Ravenloft or in the updated, certainly worse than the updated Ravenloft. They are, evil and conniving and treacherous and basically all the racist stereotypes. And they're kind of a core part of the world building because they're the ones who can move between the domains. Yeah. And they're, not to be trusted. And so it's like, okay, racism connects this.
It's
very Victorian
It's
in
very
that.
Victorian.
I mean, in theme, I guess.
Yeah, it's
Fun.
extremely unfortunate. I'm not sure I would pay money for either of these books at this point, especially since there's a new supplement coming out. But I definitely would skip the part about the Vistani. No matter what you do, it's not great. It's racist. It's a bunch of stereotypes. Uses slurs. Don't love it.
Yeah, it's hard to even read.
Yeah,
So-
it's just not great.
Okay, that's out of the way. If you're gonna use Ravenloft, you gotta think critically and come up with some better, a more, a not actually evil way
Yeah.
to use this.
And again, we're hoping that Van Richten's guide does something to remedy this. So we'll see how that goes.
My fun thing is,
What's the fun thing?
I think Ravenloft.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, okay.
Well, while we're on the topic, sorry.
Sure.
Speaking of horrible, weird, racist, culturally insensitive, the Domains of Dread divides all of the domains into cultural levels.
Right. So Rob here is talking about the 1997 big supplement.
Oh God, did this
for
come out
Ravenloft.
after
Yes.
Realm of Terror. Oh God.
This is the big. This is like published at the fucking
height.
end of
Yeah.
TSR's days. This was a last gasp publication.
And who boy. Yeah, so every domain is assigned a cultural level ranging from Stone Age to Renaissance, which is mapped to an approximate historical setting, 10,000 to 5,000 BC. Clearly, this is, extremely Eurocentric and not in any way based on anything. It's very like civilization.
Civ 1 thinking.
Yeah, Civ 1 understanding.
Civ 1 brain infected this
yeah.
in 1997.
Of how civilization works. Anyway, so that's fun. And you should ignore it. But okay.
Yeah, is that actually true? When did Civ 1 come out?
Oh, Civ
1991. Yeah, okay.
Was
yeah, they had Civ brain, which is no excuse, but
they had it bad.
Fucking dumb. Let's talk about.
Wait, Matt. Sorry.
Okay. No.
Ozolin is from Greyhawk. Sorry, you said that. Never mind.
I did say that. Yeah.
Sorry.
Do we want to talk about his tattoo?
Sorry. You mentioned. I was.
He's from Forgotten Realms. He's from Forgotten Realms.
No,
he's
from Earth with an O.
Oh, Aslan. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you meant Haslan.
Sorry,
Or
we
There's so many names. God damn it.
So many names. Just they all come from.
Aslan is from Greyhawk, and he's a perfect Greyhawk villain, which is just ridiculously high level.
Yes,
definitely a lich.
Punishing.
He probably,
Yeah.
maybe even came here through Castle Greyhawk.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the good thing? What's the fun thing?
Fun thing. Okay, Ravenloft. You got a couple options here, and let me lay them out for you, and then you could discuss them. You could absolutely run a Ravenloft campaign where you don't have to deal with the borders and like, can you cross them, and really the dark powers more than anything. You can stick with one domain and play the Frankenstein campaign or the silly werewolf bard campaign.
Or the Vampire Lord campaign, the Strahd campaign, right?
Or the Strahd, right?
The classic.
So that is option one. Option two, as written with this campaign setting, you can play the realm hopping campaign, where your players have some ability to cross the borders. I think probably the best spot for this is maybe along the Sea of Sorrows. They're sort of traders. There's a lot more cities over there. Things are just as bleak, but there's less dirt farmers. There's more decaying cities.
Right. So, some of the domains have civilization and technology, and it's not, yeah.
There's one, I forget which one, that has like a city that's like mostly empty, which is something I fucking love. I've put in my camps
city.
before.
Can never get
like
tired
a
of
city
it.
with
Yeah.
only 1/8 of the houses filled. It's an urban wilderness. Perfect. Or you can just, of course, steal these villains and stuff. There's no reason for a lot of them that you have to stick with this cosmic irony of the deep ethereal and the dark powers and the tormenting them. For most of these villains, you can just put them somewhere in a regular campaign world, and that's absolutely fine. So I think the good thing, and we can talk about which options you might use in your campaign, is you have, I think, 3 pretty good ways to use Ravenloft. Pick one domain. You can do a domain hopping Ravenloft campaign, or you can just steal some of this shit whole cloth or bits and pieces for your own campaign.
Yeah, so as many of you know, I ran Curse of Strahd. I enjoyed it very much. I think that's a really great self-contained campaign. But I also, as I was rereading this, I was definitely thinking, ooh, some of these villains would be great as a side quest or as a part of a larger campaign. And I think that's definitely what I would do with it now. I'm interested to see, I'm glad we talked about this now, because I'm really interested to see what Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft includes. Will it have all the domains of dread and all these awesome villains? Is it going to be just about Barovia? Is it going to actually present Ravenloft as an independent campaign setting? 5e has been pretty reluctant to do that. Curse of Strahd was very much like, this is gray area Forgotten Realms. It was, it was not leaning into this as its own unique campaign setting. So, you definitely can pick up these older books and there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. But I'm curious to see what happens with Van Richten's guide. I want to see what comes out.
Yeah, for me, I'm definitely on board with stealing the villains and some of the ideas, some of the weird locations and weirdness to put in my own campaign. I don't see myself ever doing a permanent Ravenloft campaign where you start in Ravenloft, you end in Ravenloft. I mean, one of the weird things is it's definitely assumed that your player characters are sucked in here by DM fiat or their own poor choices, because being from one of these domains is a pretty bleak existence that may be hard to like. It's a pretty big step of things that you have to accept about your character.
Yeah. There are rules for player characters, and they're all pretty depressing. You're the son of a dirt farmer. Your family was murdered by some horrible I mean,
Or if you're like successful, it's like, oh yeah, your parents work for the evil wizard secret police and they torture people.
Yeah.
So you didn't live in the dirt, but
right.
Oh boy.
I mean, so you all know that I'm a fantasy and science fiction enthusiast. I have strong opinions about cyberpunk and steampunk and other forms of fantasy, science fiction, speculative storytelling. Gothic horror is not one of my go-tos. It's not one of my favorites. I have read some of the stories that are referenced. I have, watched some of the movies. I'm familiar with the setting, and it's not my favorite. But I do appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah. I'm with you, Rob. I'm not going to curl up with a good new Gothic horror book.
I mean, that's the thing. If you'll permit me, like a digression,
permitted.
It's that the Gothic horror feels, and by extension Ravenloft, and perhaps this is by design, feels very static. It feels as if there's nothing new, there's no innovation, there's nothing ever will change or happen that has not happened before, which, I love a good eternal recurrence as much as the next guy, but that's for my game playing. I would prefer to not have to face down the existential dread that I live through on a day-to-day basis as much as possible. And the stories that, horror as a genre, it still has some innovation, but Gothic horror, there will never be a new Gothic horror tale. It's
Rob, there'll never be a new Prometheus. I think I can prove you wrong there with a subtitle.
There. Consider me owned, listeners. All right. Well, any final thoughts about Ravenloft before we go?
Sure. I think there's one game that I've played I have not run, that I can highly recommend if you want this kind of. It's not exactly. It is, I guess, Gothic horror, but it's more Victorian horror, which is a role-playing game that uses everyone's favorite Powered by the Apocalypse system by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions, and that's Blades in the Dark. So if you're looking for something that's not D&D and maybe not completely static, but does have that, ooh, yeah, we're never going to escape this industrial fantasy city, but we can still pull capers and still line our pockets. But also there's ghosts and the entire economy is done off of evil wailing, more evil wailing than normal. Blades in the Dark is just a lot of fun.
I have also not played a full campaign in Blaze in the Dark, but it is a tremendous setting and a great use of the Powered by the Apocalypse system. So
may have to do a whole episode on it. I need to run a session first, but
yeah, we'll put a pin in that. I think I'd like to do that as well. I will say again, despite my gripe, I really enjoyed running and playing in Curse of Strahd. I just probably wouldn't do it again. It's a very well written adventure. and it's compelling and satisfying and a really like good challenge for the players. But like I said, there's a grimness to Ravenloft that I just can't do it anymore, folks.
Yeah. A grimness and a darkness. You get where we're going. Here's an interesting question that I can only ask now, Rob, because in 3 weeks we will see 5e Ravenloft. Can of the like titular, this whole campaign setting was built off the fact, as you discussed at the beginning, that Weiss and Hickman wrote a pretty good module that lots of people loved, Castle Ravenloft, and they expanded it to a whole bigger module and a whole land, Barovia, and it's so popular they made a whole campaign setting out of it, expanding it further to the Ravenloft campaign setting, the Domains of Dread. But is there really anything you can add to Barovia? Like, what if you're like, oh, I really want to run Castle Raven, or I really want to run Ravenloft 5e. I got to have Van Richten's guide so I can really spice up my Ravenloft game. I mean, you've run it before. Is there really room for anything else? Do you need anything else?
That's a great question, and I would like to be proven wrong. No, I don't think so. There are things I would change a little bit about Strahd. Obviously, I would change the way the Vistani are portrayed, but frankly, it's like it doesn't need to be any bigger. It's detailed enough. Like
it's not like you need more detail on the city of Vallaki. Like you had enough.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of NPCs where I might like a little bit more information, but really, there's not a ton of innovation to be done. Like there really is.
And then the other question is like, oh, well, you could add something so you could run a different adventure in Barovia. But can you? I mean, so the way like these domains work, at least for Barovia, some of them have exceptions, right? But there's like one story to tell for each of them.
Right.
Is there another story you could tell in Barovia? I don't know.
I mean,
maybe
you could
maybe I'm not being creative enough.
You could add some new Dark Lords, which would be fun and fine. But really, beyond that, I'm not sure that there's anything to be done here. But we'll see. I mean,
this book is cooked, so and no one cares what we think either.
No.
But I mean, I would love to see some of these Dark Lords are fun and fine, but I'm not attached to any of them other than maybe Aslan. I would be sad if I didn't get a nice new depiction of Aslan, but I don't really, even that, I don't even care. If they came up with brand new Dark Lords, perfect for me.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not, I buy all the books. I'm not dreading buying and reading this one, even though I don't think there'll be anything new in it. I think it will be good. Because I like Ravenloft, even though it's not my favorite. But these books, these old ones, they are showing their age. So I think if nothing else, it would be cool, or it will be cool for a new generation of players to have access to the Domains of Dread without having to delve through these racist, sexist, kind of punishing old books. Yeah. So
we didn't even mention there's a lot of
sorry,
sexism. Not only are a lot of the Dark Lords like wife guys, but the women Dark Lords in this,
every dude is some manner of wife guy. Dead wife guy, coma
ghost
wife guy, ghost wife guy.
Zombie wife guy or Frankenstein wife guy.
Franken-wife guy, yeah. I apologize, friends. We did not mention the misogyny at all. It's there. It's strong. All the women are slutty. All the men are wife guys.
They're all seductresses.
Yeah.
I think there are a couple of interesting Dark Lords who are women. I think the one that was a were-rat. I'm trying to.
That's not
Jacqueline Rainier.
The were-rat lady is pretty interesting, though. She's a sexy were-rat. Gotta be a sexy were-rat.
I like sexy were-rats. That's great.
All right, folks.
But yeah, it's also, well, there's one Dark Lord we didn't mention, and he's got to get his due because he's been trapped in his domain of dread. And that's, of course, we're talking about Bobby Boris Pickett, who was gifted by the dark powers the ability to write one #1 hit song, but cursed that it was the fact that it was a novelty song that is just a joke, and he has to listen to it over and over again. That's the Monster Mash.
The Monster Mash, everybody. I thought
It's
you
a
would
graveyard
say
smash, folks.
that we also haven't mentioned another Dark Lord who is also trapped in his domain forever. Folks, you know, of course, that this is Lucifer, the fallen angel, Satan,
Yes.
the real Dark Lord, which we do not joke about because
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons is not a satanic game. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to us talk about the Domains of Dread. We will be back next week with who knows what. We got a Patreon coming.
Launching. When is it launching?
It's launching this
actually?
week. It's launching this week, folks. Follow us
Okay,
on Twitter.
I don't know, so that's why
it
I'm
is
asking.
launching this week. That is the week of. It will be up by Friday, the 30th of April, 2021. We will announce it on Twitter. We will put it in the show notes. We will.
There will be a parade.
What I'll probably
I
do.
promise.
Actually,
I'm gonna make Rob will be live streaming a countdown to pressing the button to launch.
Actually, what we'll probably do, and what would be smart, is we'll do a little like bonus, like a 5-minute bonus that'll show up on your feed just so you'll know, and we'll say, hey, we have a Patreon, go here if you want to do it. So listen for that. Follow us on Twitter, and thanks for listening, everybody,
Stay safe.
and keep rolling them dice.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise,
He did the mash,
he did the monster mash.
the monster mash.
It was a graveyard
He
smash.
did the mash,
It caught on in a
he
flash.
did the mash.
He did the monster mash. From my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast. The ghouls all came from their humble abode to get a jolt from my electrode.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash.